begin with a live look at Capitol Hill. Tonight, members of the Senate are getting prepared for a hearing tomorrow on the security failures during last month's attack on our Capitol. Good evening. Thank you for being here with us at 7. I'm Lorenzo Hall. This hearing comes as President Biden's nominee for Attorney General told senators during his confirmation hearing today the Capitol riot investigation will be his first priority if he's confirmed. Judge Garland said when it comes to domestic terrorism, quote, "We are facing a more dangerous period than we faced in Oklahoma City at that time." He's talking about the worst domestic terror attack in American history when Timothy McVeigh, a white supremacist, anti-government Army veteran, set off a bomb back in the mid-90s at a federal building, killing 168 people, 19 of which were children. Now, Judge Garland oversaw the case for the Justice Department against McVeigh. Now, fast forward to today, and Garland not only promises a broad investigation into the rioters, but those who also helped them.
From 1995 to 1997, I supervised the prosecution of the perpetrators of the bombing of the Oklahoma City Federal Building, who sought to spark a revolution that would topple the federal government. If confirmed, I will supervise the prosecution of white supremacists and others who stormed the Capitol on January 6th, a heinous attack that sought to disrupt a cornerstone of our democracy.
All right, so we saw the attack on the Capitol, and those words there from Judge Garland only reminding us of what we are facing right now. I spoke with Dr. Rashawn Ray, a professor of sociology at the University of Maryland, who researches white supremacy and domestic extremism, to get his take on how we eliminate this threat.
When you hear Judge Garland there talking about an incident that really rocked this nation more than 2 decades ago, and to say that the situation in this country is worse off more than 2 decades later, what are we doing wrong?
Well, part of what we're doing wrong is we accepted that racial progress is just going to happen. Racial equity simply just does not continue. Instead, it has to be actively worked at. The other thing that people don't realize is that there have been some policies that have been loosened. So some of the legislations that we had in the 1960s to kind of protect civil rights have been watered down to a certain extent. And one thing we know is that our hate crime laws have never been really strong, particularly for addressing domestic-born terrorism. And that's something that we really have to address. Partly is because when we look at America, we have accepted color blindness, particularly when former President Obama went into office. It was like, oh yes, we finally reached the mountaintop that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. discussed. And instead what it did was actually brought out more people from the fringes who did not want to see a Black man and did not want to see America progress to its true ideals. So, I mean, look, when it comes to domestic terrorism, it's something that should worry all of us.
And, you know, that's what's frightening, because the Department of Homeland Security did issue that bulletin late last month. And what I found striking is that they mentioned there's no specific threat, but yet the threat does exist. So what might they be talking about? Is there a way to look around that language at all, or interpret it in any other way?
So part of what they're talking about is there doesn't seem to be some sort of concerted long-term public plot at play. However, the threat is the fact that these hate groups are increasing, that they are increasing in number. They are also increasing in intensity, meaning the number of people who are participating. And they are also attaching themselves to aspects of the mainstream that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, attaching themselves to the mainstream. Dr. Ray is talking about the use of social media and other platforms by these hate groups to get their messages out quickly to a very large audience.